Hey, welcome back to YT Finance, and today we are talking about Palantir Technologies PLTR stock and how it can reach over $30 per share after its approaching earnings report. We will discuss how the PLTR stock could surge by over 50% in the near future due to their great revenue growth rate, free cash flows, and future contract wins thanks to their Foundry platform and their business partnerships with Amazon as well as IBM, which have not taken full effect yet. Go and press the like button right now for more PLTR stock news updates and price targets. Comment down below what you think will happen after Palantir's approaching earnings report. Turn on all subscription notifications to stay informed, and now let's get right into today's stories. Palantir Technologies, ticker symbol PLTR, is one of the most talked about stocks on Wall Street, which is no surprise because the PLTR stock price has increased by more than 128% just in the last year. So with Palantir's earnings report close at hand, which will be on November 9th according to Seeking Alpha, analysts think that this stock will pop after Palantir beats expectations when it comes to their revenues. The PLTR stock to me is a great stock to own for long-term investors due to their growing addressable market and their capabilities when it comes to big data, analytics, and AI technology. Even the CEO of Palantir sees great potential in this company, and we know this because the CEO, who is Alex Karp, says this, and I quote, "We crossed the billion revenue gap market. There is no reason this company should not be 20 times bigger," end quote. So clearly the CEO has huge plans for this company, which should really excite PLTR stock investors. Based on Palantir's current growth trend, I would not be surprised if the company grew by 20 times. However, I want to focus on their earnings report that's coming up, as well as Palantir's partnership with Amazon and IBM, both of which will take the PLTR stock higher in the near term as well as the long term, especially as Palantir further solidifies themselves as a company that makes other companies more effective and efficient. We have seen huge rallies from Palantir stock in the past, such as when it went all the way up to over $40 per share. We've also seen that Palantir is very volatile and it reacts wildly to both good and bad news. So if the earnings report is strong enough, we could easily see the PLTR stock price surge above $30 per share. However, with that being said, we have also seen how bad news can affect the PLTR stock price, such as when the stock fell below $20 back in May. So depending on if Palantir beats expectations for their earnings report, we could be in for a wild ride. But even without positive news from the earnings report, just from a technical analysis standpoint of the 6-month chart, it looks like the PLTR stock price will break above $30 regardless, especially if the overall markets continue to be bullish, and this does not count any new contract wins or other good news that Palantir could experience. Over the last 9 quarters, Palantir's revenues have increased by 132%, which is crazy. This comparison is calculated by taking the $161.3 million in the quarter of March in 2019 and comparing it to the $375.6 million for the quarter of June 2021, which is a very impressive increase. This revenue increase is clearly due to Palantir landing more contracts, which come from commercial enterprises or the United States government as well as allied governments. Because of Palantir's amazing revenue growth rate and their ability to consistently land new contracts, the revenue projection for the upcoming earnings report is $399.41 million for quarter 3 and $423.22 million for quarter 4 of 2021. So those are the numbers we want Palantir to beat so the stock can surge to $30. Hopefully, by the end of the year, Palantir will be able to make over $1.54 billion for the year of 2021. However, the fourth quarter might surprise us because analysts predict that revenues could come in at $446.7 million instead of $423.22 million, which would mean that some analysts and or the company's management are purposefully lowballing their financial projections so Palantir can over-deliver and crush expectations. Also, if Palantir's CEO, who is Alex Karp, is correct, and the company grows by 20 times in the near future, that would mean Palantir would be bringing in around $30.79 billion per year. Since Q3 started, Palantir has landed 20 new contracts with the US government for a total worth of around $278 million. However, if these contracts go the distance and all options and negotiations for these contracts are exercised, they could be worth up to $598 million. So this quarter alone has brought Palantir a revenue source of potentially $500 million, including 4 new contracts with the FBI and 6 new contracts with the IRS. We also have to keep in mind that this does not include commercial contracts or partnerships such as Palantir's partnership with Amazon and IBM, which have yet to take their full effect when it comes to Palantir's revenues. Earlier this year, Palantir won the 2021 Global Amazon Web Services Partner Network Public Sector Award, and this was because Palantir had become an Amazon Web Services partner, so now Palantir's Foundry platform can be deployed through AWS. Palantir also became a partner with one of the oldest technology companies in the United States, which is IBM. This partnership allows Palantir's Foundry platform to be a part of IBM's Cloud Pak, which gives customers the ability to build AI applications. This partnership also gives Palantir access to IBM's sales force of 2,500 employees because IBM is an official reseller of Palantir's technology systems. As you may already know, Palantir has also signed a huge US Army contract worth over $800 million. So as more information about this deal comes out, it should be great news for Palantir as well as their PLTR stock price. But we should leave that part to analysts who will use this massive contract to project the future revenues of the company, and we as investors should mainly hope for Palantir to repeatedly beat those expectations by Wall Street analysts. In other news, Palantir is set to be cash flow positive in this quarter again, which would reflect a 28% free cash flow margin, which is great news. As far as their revenue projections and price targets go, Palantir is set to bring in $1.95 billion of revenue for 2022 and $2.5 billion of revenue in 2023, with a $750 million free cash flow, which is absolutely insane. If we use this free cash flow projection from the revenue estimate at a 1% FCF yield, which is on the conservative side, the PLTR stock price should at minimum be $37.87, which represents around a 50% increase from where the PLTR stock price is trading at currently. That would represent a fantastic return on investment for investors that would outpace the historical returns of the overall stock market by over 2-fold. And again, we used the lowest numbers here, so this is the worst case scenario, which honestly is still pretty good. The only downside here is that Palantir is still trading at 35 times their projected sales. However, that is in line with some of their competition, so it is warranted to a degree. Luckily, Palantir has a good enough business model thanks to their CEO, and strong revenue streams thanks to their contract award winnings, and if we pair that with how big data is a rapidly developing industry worth billions of dollars, Palantir looks like a great long-term stock to buy. Analysts' biggest problem with Palantir is their reliance on government contracts and not enough commercial contracts, but I think this will easily be remedied because I think Palantir's commercial business will eventually match or even overtake their government contracts as their dominant revenue source, because Palantir provides solutions for companies in over 40 sectors. So this is a company that basically all other companies need and can use. The problem that future investors might have is not investing into this company early enough, because as Palantir grows, investors' returns will diminish because the larger a company gets, the harder it is for that company to grow even larger. However, I am very interested in their Foundry for Builders initiative because they are investing into smaller companies that could be mega cap corporations eventually. Palantir is at the top of their game when it comes to big data analytics, cloud-based computer systems, and artificial intelligence that can one day replace a CEO of a company because it will make the best decisions. Palantir is at the forefront of a technology revolution when it comes to commercial enterprises and governments. But in the meantime, we're going to have to wait to see how their earnings report unfolds to determine what our next move should be. But what do you think? Comment your thoughts down below, like this video if you haven't already, subscribe if you are new, and I will see you in the next YT video.